Welcome, class, to the Intro to Java Programming. In this lesson, we'll review building your first program by covering the Java IDE, JDK, and Maven install, along with opening a new project and running a program. Before we can begin with Java programming, first we need to make sure we have downloaded and installed an IDE, JDK, and Maven. Our first lab assignment is to install these three items. The Integrated Development Environment, or IDE, will make writing a program easier. The Java Development Kit, or JDK, will help in developing Java applications while including tools for the runtime environment, compiler, and more. You have many IDE options: IntelliJ, Eclipse, Spring Tool Suite, and many more. Install one or many and try them out. For this lesson, I'll be using IntelliJ. The first lab assignment is to search for the IDE of your choice, follow their instructions for downloading and installing. The cost of the IDE? You should easily be able to find a free student version of these three IDs along with many others. Download the most recent stable version of JDK. Make sure it's version 8 or higher. At the time of this lesson, I'm using version 14. The next lab assignment is to search for the latest JDK, follow their instructions to download and install. Having trouble finding a site with instructions that make sense to you? Search for multiple sites until you find understandable instructions. Some offer step-by-step descriptions, while others may include pictures and videos. Download the most recent stable version of Maven. At the time of this lesson, I'm using version 3.6.1. The next lab assignment is to search for the latest version of Maven, follow their instructions to download and install. Skip the Maven install? Maven is one of several build automation tools that will help with dependencies and building the project. We will talk more about this in a future class. I recommend taking the time to install this now. Open the IntelliJ program. From the main screen, click Create New Project. On the left-hand side, make sure Maven is selected. Inside the project SDK, make sure that the version of JDK you downloaded is here. Click Next. Enter in the name Basics. This is where you're going to learn the basics of Java programming. Open up the artifact. Inside the group ID, enter com.coachjoe.intro. Artifact ID is Basics. Click Finish. Java will open. Each IDE will offer some tooltips to help learn easy navigation. This can be turned on and off for your viewing pleasure. I'm going to turn it off. You got a pop-up window asking about import changes or enable auto import? Until you better understand Maven imports, it's best to enable auto imports. On the menu bar, open File, Preferences. Navigate to the Build Execution Deployment, then navigate to Compiler, then Java Compiler. Inside the target bytecode, change it to be 1 point and then the version of JDK that you downloaded. I did 14, so I'm going to change it to 1.14. Click OK. On the menu bar, open File, Project Structure. On the project menu on the left, verify that the SDK is set to the version you downloaded. Click on the module menu on the left, verify that the language level is set to 8 or higher. Let's explore the project menu on the left. Let's expand the Basics menu. SRC, or Source, is where you will spend most of your programming effort for now. All the source code and tests go in this folder or subfolders. Main is where you will keep all the programming code. Tests is where you will keep all the unit tests. We're going to build a simple payroll test to calculate net pay, assuming we have the total hours worked, the hourly pay rate, and the tax amount to be deducted. Let's create a new package inside the test Java folder. Click on Java. There are two ways to create a new package. One, click on the File menu, select New, Package, or right-click on the Java folder and say New, Package. Enter accounting, all in lowercase. A package in Java is used to group related classes. Think of it as a folder in a file directory. Keeping all the files in one folder? Junior developers fail to consider the importance of organized code in their projects. Early on, with few classes, the organization importance is not that obvious, but as the project grows, that importance becomes more apparent to you and others. The code shown will be discussed in more detail in the following lessons. For now, just type and follow along. Like with packages, there are several ways to make new classes. Let's right-click on the Accounting Package folder and select New Class. Enter Payroll Test. Class names should be entered with Pascal case. First letter of each new word is uppercase. Since this is used for testing, we added test to the end of the class name. Inside the IDE, you may want line numbers displayed. Right-click on this gray area. You can toggle on line numbers. Let's make a test method. Inside the code, let's enter in @test. We're going to add JUnit 5.0, 5.4 to the class path. Notice that inside the POM file, this dependency was added. Back inside of our test, we're going to import the class. And now JUnit appears up here. Let's create the basic shell of unit test for starters. Before we write any code, consider the purpose of programming code. A program is a sequence of instructions executed in order. What instructions? If you were to perform the payroll calculation on paper manually, how would you do it? You would first collect the data, like hours worked, pay rate, and tax deduction. You likely know the formula for net pay, or could look it up. Performing the calculation is simple algebra. Let's use this sample data for the calculation. Using the simple formula, we can easily perform the calculation and come up with 350 as the answer. You just created a set of instructions for manually completing the net payroll calculation. Collect the data, perform the calculation. As I stated before, a program is nothing more than a sequence of instructions executed in order. If you can perform the task manually, you should be able to translate those tasks into code instructions. Let's go back to Java and give it a try. Most unit tests should have three basic steps: arrange the data, act or actually test the data in question, and assert or verify the result is what was expected. Here are three variables that represent the data needed to perform the payroll calculation. Here is the net pay calculation. Assert is a way of testing the expected result with the actual result. The variable net pay holds the actual calculation. The assert statement is looking to see if the expected amount of 350 is equal to this value. Let's run the test and see what happens. Click the green arrow, run test. Program is building. The test runs and it passes. Just for fun, let's change the value to 400. Let's rerun the test. The test fails. It expects 400 and the actual value is 350. Let's change this back to 350 and rerun the test. And it passes again. You should now have a working IDE with a recent version of JDK and Maven installed. You should also have a working unit test which proves the IDE and JDK are working. Your homework assignment is to make sure you have a Java IDE installed on your machine along with JDK and Maven. In the next lesson, we will talk about class and constructor. Remember, future senior level developers, make it work, prove it works, and then make it better. Ready? Break!